socketed cards. Like this guy and Warlock Inquisitor are like the exciting things happening.
The only two that are any good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think Shamed Gladiator is acceptable.
Ugh.
You
Well,
give him fly or +1/+1. He's fine.
I see Master Beast Rider and Warlock Inquisitor, and the fact that they're so good with gems, like I want to try Shamed Gladiator just because gem cards are so good.
Yeah, it's fun. I want them to make a constant spell that allows you to socket a troop. Of course, I don't know how you do that mid-game, because you'd have to have a set-aside gem for that.
I think there's a lot of open design space for gems. Like,
yeah,
I could see something like that emerging down the road.
Like, get a gem from your sideboard and put it in a creature you control, like a wish, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, it being a digital game, and there's so much space for them to explore. It sounds pretty wacky, but you make it cost enough to where it's not going to mess up Constructed. I could see him doing it.
Contrary to popular belief, that is not a turtle. It is an elf ranger.
No, it's a turtle.
No, it's a turtle, dude. It's a
sorry.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the card Dan, Matt? Dan is not actually two boats. It might look like two boats, but it is in fact a fish.
It's an eyeball.
Huh.
Yeah, go look at the Magic card Dan right now. You're gonna see this looks like two boats, but it's not. It is not two boats.
Oh, I will check that out.
According to Soldier Token in the chat here, the infusion of Ruby equipment lets you add a gem slot, it seems. So
infusion of Ruby adds Swift Strike gem.
Okay, so yeah,
that's ridiculous.
There is potential for adding sockets to things. That's really awesome.
Only PvE, but
you know, if that means it's there in the game. So a couple sets down the line with a little power creep, we might see it.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So moving on, this is another card that gets a lot of talk. This is Pack Raptor. A 1-mana casting cost 1/1 with Swift Strike. When this troop enters play, create 4 Pack Raptors and shuffle them into your deck. This troop gets +1/+1 for each other Pack Raptor that you control.
So the cool part with this guy is that he's a 1/1 Swift Strike. That's pretty good against red decks. The fact that he waters down your deck with Pack Raptors is pretty bad. I guess you could build like the Pack Raptor deck, but that deck seems pretty unimpressive because even with 7 more Pack Raptors, you're not super likely to get one quickly. And without getting one quickly, you just played a 1/1 for 1, which is pretty awful. I played against someone who played Pack Raptor in turn 1, and it didn't do anything. He didn't even draw on the Pack Raptor for the rest of the game. So I'm just going to put out there that does happen. This card is significantly worse than Pack Rat, the Magic card that is the best Rat ever printed, because he turns all your cards into Pack Raptor, in effect. In Limited, this guy's even worse. You're only going to have 4 Pack Raptors in your deck after you play him, and that's if you played him on turn 1, and he's a 1/1. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't think he's really good in any format. I think he's going to see play because people think he's cool and might want to try and play him anyway. But I think that you, as good players, will beat those people. So I recommend you be good players and beat the Pack Raptors, not play them.
I want to like this card because it's a dinosaur, but I don't think it's going to be very good. Like, the idea is cool, you know, like adding cards to your deck, and they make themselves bigger. But, like, I don't know, then you're going to have weaker 1 casting cost guys that conditionally make your onboard creatures bigger. Another thing, like, say you do get the miracle draw, like, you played on turn 1, you draw one on turn 2, like, say it's turn 4 and you're attacking with 3 Pack Raptors and they're all 4/4s. Even then, like, if they have a removal spell for one of your Pack Raptors, they kill it, then all your existing ones get smaller and you can get blown out in combat. So it just seems super conditional and luck-based and easy to get messed up. I don't think it's going to be a constructed player. I suppose it could be in the green deck against red deck or another deck that has a lot of X1s, but I don't really think it's realistic. In Limited, I don't really like 1/1s for 1 that don't do anything. I mean, having Swift Strike is cool, but I'd like an ability, like an Inspire trigger, something more useful. So, as cool as this card is, I don't think it's going to be very good.
But what if you block the Rampaging Tarask?
Why is he attacking this Rampaging Jurassic into your Pack Raptor?
Good question. But
He can
I do
just
have a
see you with
story
Pack
about
Raptor
this
there.
card. Because I thought it was so amazing, I thought I'd make a constructed deck. And in my opening hand, I had 3 Pack Raptors. And so, of course, I shuffled hella Pack Raptors into my deck, and I drew 2 more. And I still lost. Because he was like, well, I'm just going to murder a bunch of those, and I've got, like, a Warlock Inquisitor who just, I don't know. I don't even remember what the Warlock Inquisitor did. But anyway, I lost. It sucked. Dinosaurs are not really good. They're going to be amazing in PvE because you can draw a card after it, which makes them extremely overpowered. But for actual PvP, they don't really have a spot unless you're fighting a red deck, so it's very conditional.
Even finding a red deck, like, it's not great. You'd much rather just have Limberland Witch, like, all the time.
Yeah.
Also, being dinosaurs, they are exceedingly weak against the card Extinction.
Also, that
That's a good
Comet, what was that? Comet Storm or Comet something?
Comet Strike.
Comet
Oh,
Strike,
dear.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can't beat that.
Poor dinosaur.
Yeah. So anyways, moving on to a different 1-mana casting cost creature. The next one is Petulant Wildebeest. Petulant Wildebeest is a 3/3 with speed for 1. At the end of your turn, shuffle it into your deck. If you do, it gets permanent +3/+3 and permanently loses this power.
So this card is like a weird green burn spell. It's like a green lightning bolt that it attacks and then it goes away. But when it goes away, it shuffles a 6/6 haste into your deck that only costs 1 mana. So that's pretty good. Basically, you just don't play this guy as a creature. You play this guy kind of as like a spell in your deck building, and then your deck just becomes better basically after you play him. That's really good. In limited, this guy is considerably worse. You can't guarantee to get it early, and just having a 3/3 speed for only 1 turn isn't really that great. And you have to draw him again to get the 6/6, which is not very likely. He's also a rare, so you're really not going to see more than 1 of them at a time in the draft, if even the 1. But in Constructed, I think he definitely has a home in aggressive green decks who basically want to use him as like extra damage in the early game with some cool late game bonuses. Or you can just get lucky and draw him again on turn 2 and just crush the crap out of him.
Yeah, this card is a much better way to spend 1 mana. Like, this is a very solid card for the aggressive decks. Like, shuffling in and becoming a 6/6, that's just so crazy. Limited, being a rare, and being unreliable. I would probably actually play this in an aggressive limited deck. Just, I think the 3 damage is not the worst thing in the world. They're probably not going to want to block and lose a guy. And then the possibility of drawing a 6/6 is okay. But his best place is for Constructed, where I think he's going to be really good. Much better than Pack Raptor, and they'll see a lot of play in aggressive decks.
Do you guys feel as though it's worth losing the card? Because they have the option of taking it in the face when they have 20 life, so...
Well, they're going to. I mean, I assume they're
Yeah.
just going to take the 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so it gives them a choice like this. They can either take 3 damage or sacrifice a guy and kill it, and then it can't ever come back as a 6/6. So, like, say it's I don't know, it's a weird situation. I think they'll probably just take it most of the time. I could conceive of a time when they'd want to just block it if they're, like, afraid the game's going to go long and be this big grudge match where you'll actually have a chance of drawing it again. But that's pretty unlikely. So I feel they'll just take the damage and then just hope you don't draw it again.
Do you guys feel as though with the green deck losing a card like that is okay? I mean, you've got, like, Senseis, I suppose.
If you're playing aggressively, then yeah. Like, if the point is to get them from 20-0, this card is fine. It does 3 damage, and that's really all you need to do.
Alright.
If the point is not to be aggressive, then you would not bet on Wildebeest. Like, I would not play this in any kind of control deck at all. I would even play it in most mid-rangey type stuff, but I would definitely play it in, like, red-green aggro, black-green aggro, things like that.
Yeah, being down a card does suck, but it deals damage very quickly, which is what you want in the most aggressive of aggressive decks. So losing a card in that situation is not the end of the world.
And you don't have a lot of better guys anyway. This isn't like Magic where you have a million 2/2s and 3/3s and whatnot for one. You only have a couple of guys. So this is really still not bad at all.
I wish he was a dinosaur.
He should be a downside. Well, a plant is okay too.
He's got pretty flowers, man.
He's petulant, man. He's a petulant guy.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on. Next up we have Ritualist of the Spring Litter. Ritualist of the Spring Litter is a 4-mana casting cost with 2 wild threshold, 1/1, that at the start of your turn gives you 1 mana for each Shinhair that you control.
So this card would be sweet with Eye of Creation if it didn't force you to play a whole bunch of stupid Shinhairs in your deck, which makes your Eye of Creation really bad. The thing about the Shinhair deck, the curve basically stops on 4 for most reasonable Shinhair style decks. I don't know what you're doing with all your extra mana. Like, clearly you have 4 mana to begin with. I guess you could play like a Drain Life or something. Then you're like some weird Shinhair Drain Life deck. I don't know what's going on with that nonsense. So in Constructed, I think that this card is not really necessary unless they print some like super incredible 8-drop Shinhair that like just wins the game. Other than that, I think this guy is basically just a 1/1 for 4 that gives you a bunch of extra mana every turn that you're not going to use. In Limited, most of the same problem, but it's possible you'll actually have like some relevant 6-drops, and you'll have one other Shinhair in play and just kind of accelerate a little bit. Then you're still playing like a crappy 1/1 for 4 in your deck, so the stats are just too bad. A 1/1 for 4 is just awful. Like, no matter what happens on your next turn, on turn 5, you've played a 1/1 on turn 4, your board is so bad. Like, they could do anything. You're tapped out with just an extra 1/1. It just doesn't look good.
Yeah, I would not be happy to play this in Limited. And I don't think it's going to be very good in Constructed. Like you just said with the tension, it's like, well, do you want to have an aggressive Shinhair deck? Then what do you need all this extra mana for? And it's not going to go in any good Eye of Creation deck. It's a card that I would keep my eye on, though, is like thinking about possibilities. You know, like when the next set or the following set comes out, it's like, oh, you know, what cards are there that have the potential to make a lot of mana? And this card does have that potential, even if it's a little wonky. I don't think it's good right now, and it probably won't ever be good, but cards that make mana are at least worth keeping in your wheelhouse. In all likelihood, though, it's never going to be good.
So, if you were to run this with an Eye of Creation deck, we're just going to say you have like 4 Battle Hoppers out on the field, you play this guy, you Eye of Creation, you go off and you draw your entire deck. This card and the 4 Battle Hopper cards get all of the like +1/+1 evolves, all the command towers, all the Bucktooth commanders.
Alright, they're all going to be really huge. Okay, here's what's going to happen. You're going to play your entire deck, and then you're going to say go, because nothing actually has speed. And then they get 1 turn to either kill you or kill your team.
Well, no. Everything that's in play after that basic action gets to attack. All of the cards that you went came from Eye of Creation don't get to go, but all of these cards that were in play are now buff and attacking. Do you think you could feasibly kill someone?
Yeah, you probably could. You'd have like a bunch of like 8/8s. They'd probably die, or 8/4s or something. Yeah, I suppose they'd probably die right then. But
it's very conditional.
This card was pretty irrelevant there, though. I mean, I gave you a few more mana for your Eye of Creation, but...
Well, no, I mean, it's relevant there. It's giving you +5 on your turn 5. So see, on turn 5 you'll have 11 mana, which is Eye of Creation for 8. That's obviously really good. But the problem with that is that, first off, you don't hit, like, a second Eye of Creation, your deck just isn't doing anything.
Yeah.
You're sitting like a bunch of, like, 0/1s in play. The other problem is that's assuming that this guy lives, your other guy lives, like...
Yeah, there's a lot of cards out there and
like,
stuff.
If you draw Eye of Creation and you haven't drawn Ritualist of the Spring Litter, it's just terrible. It's like a totally dead card. And if you draw Ritualist and they have anything, like if you draw Ritualist and you don't have Eye of Creation, then you have a 1/1 for 4 who's also not doing anything. It's this thing where you have to have both cards together, and it still requires you to have a 1/1 in play. Eye of Creation is great because it can just win the game by itself. Ritualist requires other stuff to actually be good. And a lot of other stuff, like 4 other shin hairs and eye creation.
Yeah.
And luck.
Is there anything else that's particularly mana heavy or a mana dump that green has?
I don't think there's any green X spells. You don't have to play it in a 2-color deck.